No, you gonna dig this.
Hi, I'm Stan the Man Brooks, host of Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles, recorded live here at the DATV Studios in Dayton, Ohio. And now, live in the studios today, I want to say hello to Mr. Hakim Stokes. Hakim, how you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Stan. Wonderful. Glad to be here and glad to be anywhere.
Well, I tell you what, Hakim is one of the original members of a funk group back in the 70s, Platypus. How you, man, I'm just so happy to see you today.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Platypus, one of those groups back during the 70s, along with all the other groups that came out of Dayton, Ohio, which there was just a huge flow of us, you know. Those were some good times.
Well, I tell you.
Good times.
Let's just take you back a little bit. Okay. Let's ask a few questions that would say, how did Arthur Hakim Stokes get started in the music field?
Well, it goes all the way back to Louise Troy, Miami Chapel. That's in DeSoto Bass, and there was a lot of other acts that from Dayton that grew up in that same area. Started off just doing the plays in school, singing, watching TV. Used to love to watch, back in the day, Dick Clark's American Bandstand. It was out of Philadelphia at that time.
Right.
And that always seeing Chubby Checker on there and Little Richard or whoever, you know. Those were some of the early things. Had a brother. Arthur Stokes, he was a tenor sax player, and by him getting his saxophone, his first saxophone, that was something else that kind of inspired me, you know, to move in this direction.
So now, tell a little bit of people, tell our viewers more about, I would say, were you a musician, or you were just singer, or did you do a little bit of both?
I never played an instrument.
Okay.
Actually, singing, writing, producing was basically the things that I have been involved with. And, you know, later in life, I've done some consulting, some management, you know, some booking of acts and stuff. But yeah, it all started with singing, writing, and producing.
Well, let's go back and tell our viewers a little bit about Platypus. How did that get started?
Wow, Platypus started back. It was actually was the Four Corners first, and it involved four singers that played. We had a three-piece band, and when we left Dayton, Ohio, Larry Hines, Curtis Sanford, Lloyd Jones, now known as Rock, Floyd Weatherspoon, Kerry Rutledge, Dana Myers. When we left Dayton, we were known as the Four Corners. That became Four Corners, and then that became Platypus.
Okay. Now, the original members of Platypus.
The original members of Platypus would be those 7 names, 6 names including myself. Once again, that would be Dana Myers, Floyd Weatherspoon, Kerry Rutledge, Arthur Stokes, Larry Hines, Curtis Sanford, or better known as Curdy, and Lloyd Rock Jones.
You know, the thing about the group Platypus, they when you hear that group, they had a unique sound. And that's the thing I liked about y'all. The thing is that the question that I've always wanted to ask you also is that, you know, for all our young musicians that are listening today, you know, mainly everybody records and try to get their demo played or heard. My thing with y'all, tell me exactly how that happened with Platypus and the recording part of it.
Wow, that started, we were actually in Los Angeles, and we befriended Roberta Flack when we were in Japan performing there. She happened to come out to see us, and it was a situation, her brother-in-law, I think his name was Dickie. We had met him in Los Angeles. He ended up being her road manager in Japan. He came by the club and found out we were there and brought Roberta. Roberta fell in love with the group and actually managed the group for a while. And that brought us back from Los Angeles after we got back to Dayton. She flew us into New York. We spent early, all night really in the studio with Mtume and Reggie Lucas and Roberta Flack, and wrote some things, and that led us to putting together, after we got back to Dayton, a demo which found its way into the hands of Casablanca Records, you know. And as they say, the rest is history. They loved what they heard. And they, getting back to what you talk about, the sound, they were very impressed with the sound because we didn't have just a black sound. They thought it was a crossover sound. And that kind of went along with the name Platypus, because if you're familiar with a platypus, it's made up
I was about to ask you.
different things.
I was about to ask you, how did you come up with the name?
At the time, we were being managed by Sandy Newman and Beverly Smolin. And Sandy was already managing the Barkays, and Lenny Williams, who was the lead vocalist with Tower of Power. And we were meeting and was going to change the name from Four Corners to something else. And as I remember, and I believe Beverly Smolin just said Platypus. And it had a ring to it, and everybody was like, yeah. Because we wanted to get away from the. Everything was the Temptations, the Whispers, you know. So we wanted to get a name that you couldn't put a the on, you know.
Well, you sure got one now.
We definitely come up with that, yeah. So you couldn't put a the on Platypus, you know, so.
Well, now, what you were telling me earlier is that your albums are now being re-released. Do you want to talk about that for me?
Yes, I'm very excited about that. This here was our first album, and it has been reissued in CD form. It's actually a company out of England called Big Break Records. And there was a gentleman named Christian, I want to say Wilkane, that was super instrumental in this happening. He was doing he's a writer, and he was doing a project on Casablanca Records, and as he said, he knew about Donna Summer and Kiss and Parliament Funkadelic and, you know, the Village People, but he wanted to find out other groups that was on the label, and he said he heard Platypus and a song called Dancing in the Moonlight. And he said he fell in love with the song and just had to know more about the group. With his research, he ended up doing a separate interview on the group that was posted online. I think it's called Pop Matters, that he ended up posting it on. And he went from that. Big Break ended up bringing him in to write liner notes for all of their stuff.
That's wonderful.
And he raved to them about Platypus, and they ended up reissuing that.
Now, being from the city of Dayton, Ohio, you know right now we are in the process of definitely getting this Funk Museum off the ground.
Very
Tell me a little
excited.
bit about it. Tell me more. as a artist from Dayton, Ohio, how can you help the Funk Museum?
By doing what we're doing now, you know, and just getting the word out to people, because it's a wonderful, marvelous, wonderful thing that they're doing with the Funk Museum. It allows people to know that Dayton, Ohio was as much a force in music as Memphis, as Philadelphia, as Detroit, in their own way. You know, it's not to compare, it's just to show that the contribution that this area has done, and I think that it's just absolutely wonderful that they're doing it.
Well, I know David Webb and his staff is doing an outstanding job.
David is doing a great job.
Getting this out to the public. And the thing about Mr. Hakim Stokes here, what we would call a veteran of the funk groups, coming back all the way back to Dayton, Ohio. It is just, man, when we talk about the Funk Museum and we talk about all the groups out of the city of Dayton, Ohio, this is definitely the place to put this museum right here.
Absolutely.
You know,
absolutely, and it gives. I mean, Dayton is already known for, you know, airplanes and the Wright brothers, and you know, the ice cube tray, the self starter for the car. I mean, why not the fact that music has touched the world the same way?
That's right.
And to have the museum here is absolutely great, just wonderful.
Well, I know that your background, you have a lot of family members that come from the funk field. Tell us a little bit about your blood brothers.
Let me start again with, I mentioned my brother Otha Stokes. Otha, he was a tenor sax player. May he rest in peace. He's passed on. But Otha was one of the best tenor sax players.
Oh, I remember Otha.
I mean, I'd put him on stage with anybody. And he played with James Brown. He worked with Millie Jackson, Ray Gutman and Brown, the group. He was in a group called Wood, Brass, and Steel that were recorded at All Platinum Records and Sugar Hill, which became Sugar Hill Records. And of course, I have my widow brother, I like to jokingly say, Otis Stokes. He is lead vocalist, original member of the group Lakeside, known now as the original Lakeside. And he plays guitar, he's a producer, songwriter. My sister Doris Stokes Knight is a gospel artist. I also recorded with my sister Diane Williams, now of course married, but we had a group called Hakim with Lady Diana that we recorded at Curb Records. And we did a song called One Down, Two Down that ended up being part of the Garbage Pail Kids movie soundtrack. So that's just a little background of the family, and I'm very proud of my family.
Well, I tell you what, I had the pleasure of having Otis on my radio show.
Yes.
There at the Soul of Dayton 98.7.
Yeah.
And we had 2 hours of just good conversation, and definitely playing some of the big Lakeside hits.
Oh, yeah.
And so those are one of those things that I'll never forget.
Yeah.
You know, just to have the pleasure of having you and your family members on our radio show. But I tell you what, you are now still out there entertaining people on a weekly basis with a group called Touch.
Yes, I'm with a group called Touch, and we touch a lot of people.
Yes, you do.
know. We've been very blessed, I like to say. We were, a few years ago, able to do an NBC TV show where we ended up top 3. On the show. It was called The Winner Is, and Nick Lachey from 98 Degrees, he was the host of the show, and he happens to be from Cincinnati, you know.
Right.
So that was really, really, I'd like to say, a blessed opportunity. We're also known as the Motown Sounds of Touch, and that's because we kind of do a Motown old school tribute. The group is made up of myself, Zonarell Freeman, who is actually, we like to call the founding father of the group, Anthony Plum Brown, and Floyd Spoon Weatherspoon. Yes. And we've been doing it now probably 18 to 20 years. We've been blessed to travel around. You know, our motto is, if it's paying, we're playing.
That's right.
So if somebody wants us to be in wherever, we're ready to go.
Well, I tell you, man, I definitely have the pleasure of working with you periodically.
Yes.
And I just love the group. And let me say this, man. Where the compliments come from, not only in voice and harmony, but it is, you take me back to where you and the group Touch are in uniform. And I meant not just in a shirt and a pair of pants. You're in uniform from head to toe.
Yes.
And tell me about that and why you feel that that still needs to be.
Well, you know, when you talk about old school, one of the things that I notice about the new generation of entertainers, they like to just go on stage. And see, to me, show business is show business. You want to look the part. You don't want to have the same clothes on that somebody can get in the audience. You want to have something that people, in fact, as you probably remember, when we used to go to see shows, part of the anticipation is what are they going to have on?
That's right. That's right.
You know, I don't care if it was James Brown or the Supremes or the Intruders or the Temptations. You always, what are they going to have on? And we have taken that, and people actually ask Touch a lot. What are you guys going to wear? You know, we said, well, you got to come to the show. But we have built up such a clothing, you know, thing that, you know, we probably got 15 to 20 outfits, and you can take those and put pants with this and jacket with this, which swells it up. It's just hard to see us in the same thing.
Well, I tell you what, it's a beautiful sight to see, man, on stage. The still choreography, and when you have it in uniform, it is just a very professional look. And that's one thing that I really also would wish a lot of other groups would do that.
I think, like I said, a show business is about showing and doing a great job of entertaining, singing, harmonizing, but you should look well. And a lot of the younger people, they just come out in whatever they got on, which don't separate you from your audience,
That's
you
right.
know. And I think that's important, you know. But hey, once again, I'm old school.
And we loving that.
And we love it.
And I tell you, well, I say the getting back to the funk and getting back to all of the groups here from not only just Dayton, Ohio. The Funk Museum is going to provide information and definitely nostalgia of funk groups from all over. Do you have any influences with as you were growing up with the Platypus group?
Wow. You know, growing up, you know, it was always James Brown, you know, Temptations, the Intruders. These were the ones that, you know, with the nice harmony and stuff. Then you had the Barcades, of course, the Ohio Players. Those guys, I used to go and see them at the Ebony Club on 3rd Street and watch how well they did what they were doing.
Did you know them when they were the Ohio Untouchables?
I knew of them as I got older. I got to know them by Otha being older. He knew, he was a tenor sax player, and of course Satch was a sax player with the Players, so they ended up being two peas in a pod, you know, always hanging out, which allowed me to get to know him and Foot, you know, and Greg Webster, who was before Diamond, you know, and it's, yeah. So I got to know a lot of the guys, and they've been remarkable as far as putting this city on the map.
That is so true. And along with, of course, you know, Roger Trotman and the group that. you know, when we talk influences, man, it is just wonderful that the city of Dayton can contribute to the Funk Museum in a big way.
You know, when you say Roger and Zapp, I mean, here's a cat that just, I mean, was sure enough funk, you know, and it's just when you start thinking of the people that come out of here that touched so many people world, and once again, the self-started to the car, you know,
right.
the pop top can, you know, for beers, and I mean, there's so much that have come out of this area that have touched the world, and the music has been absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the Funk Museum, I tell you what, it is along, and they're saying exhibition center.
Yes.
And we're hoping that Mr. Arthur Hakim Stokes can find one of those old platypus uniforms.
Well, actually,
you know what?
This silver one, I believe, is still around, and I had a blue and silver one. You know what's interesting? I don't know what happened to my boots, you know. They just disappeared, and I have no idea. Well, I got those in Sydney, Australia. I had them made, and
I'm about to say, man, they seem exclusive on that.
And I don't know what. Some things, it's funny how in life some things get lost in time, you know. But yes, I got some things that I'd be more than happy to contribute to the museum. Absolutely.
Well, I know that David Webb and his staff would like to get with you on that, and hope that you might even call a few of the old members and say, hey, you know, they could have they could have an old guitar that's just sitting there, you know, because we're going to try our best, man, to keep this Funk Museum alive and get it going in a way to where we'll have not only platypus stuff, but of course Roger, Ohio players, and a lot more.
So this was the first platypus. This was the second one, and I have to mention on this one, Jerry Johnstone played lead guitar, did a great job. We lost Larry Hines, the lead player on here, and Jerry came in for our second album, Cherry, did a magnificent job.
Now I'm noticing the cover on Cherry. I'm just saying now, that looks a little, yes.
It looks a little playerish.
A
little playerish.
Tell me a little bit about that.
What's interesting, Casablanca, coming from Dayton at the time, they knowing how popular the Ohio Players was, we had absolutely nothing to do with this album cover. This one we did, this one we didn't. So the company obviously was going to play on the Ohio Players' popularity, and that was their doing for our second album, Cherry.
Well, I tell you what, it does catch a little attention, especially as you be at the time you be in record stores.
That's true.
And all the record stores hanging on the wall, so it would kind of grab your attention. You know, I'm even noticing how small the platypus name is. Even you know, they want her to be the dominant.
They want her.
I get her.
They wanted her to be the eye candy, as they say. You know, and they did get that done.
Well, that's wonderful, man. Well, again, you know what? I have to ask you a couple of more quick questions here before we wrap this up. When it came to the Platypus group and the funk, I wanted to ask you one more thing. When you would hear other groups from different cities, did you get an influence from listening to them, or did you wanted to try to copy them, or did you want to come up with your own?
I think we that's a very easy answer. Everyone's really I ain't gonna say everyone. We wanted to have our own sound. You're always listening to what other people are doing, and you can like what somebody else is doing, and you might try to go after something similar. I used to do a lot of work at Motown with Hal Davis, who was a producer of the Jackson 5 and Thelma Houston and Diana Ross. And one of the things he used to always say when working on songs, and he liked something, he'd say, Hakeem, could you bring me something like, you know? And we would go out and try to come up. So I think people like to take an idea and tweak it and try to make it their own.
Well, I'll tell you what, I still play, of course, cuts off of that every Saturday.
That. I really
because, you know, at the Soul of Dayton, we are definitely promoting the local groups from our city here.
Doing a wonderful job.
So at 98.7, the Soul of Dayton, we be rocking,
You
man.
be rocking every Saturday.
And I have to say, we couldn't do it without the Platypus group, I tell you.
Well, I appreciate the love, but you know, once again, you're doing it for the Dayton, just like the Funk Museum. You're doing it for Dayton as well on your show. They're doing it just to let everybody know what's going on or what have gone on.
What has gone on.
And hey, what can we say except thank you, and we appreciate you.
Well, I tell you what, man, this is one of the highlights of the Chronicles here, is having Mr. Arthur Hakim Stokes with us today, man. And I'm telling you,
I appreciate you. I appreciate David. I appreciate, like I said in the beginning, being able to be anywhere.
and as we try to wrap this up, man, Platypus is now back on CD, and you definitely want to let everybody know.
I want everybody to know you can go online and order this at Amazon.com. Just look for Platypus on Big Break Records, or you can go to Dusty Groove Records, which is actually out of Chicago, and they've sold out, reordered, sold out, reordered, sold out. So continue to keep them reordering so they can continue to sell out.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, because everybody always asks a member of a group, off of your first album, what was one of your favorites?
It's a song on there called "Running from Love." Larry Hines he played guitar on everything, but he is playing a solo on that song that is absolutely magnificent. I can listen to it. When I listen to it now, I crank it. That's one of my favorite songs. And of course, me and Larry co-wrote "Dancing in the Moonlight" together. I would say that if I had to pick, those would be the favorites, but the album have a lot of good music on it. I mean,
well, for it to be reordering and reordering and reordering, a lot of other people are saying the same.
Absolutely, yeah, they're finding it out, and I'm just thankful that people can go and order it and continue to. And they have a nice booklet in here. It tells the story of Platypus, so it's just got a lot of great information.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Arthur Hakim Stokes.
Stan the Man, I thank you.
Well, this is yours truly, Stan the Man, the host of Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles. Until next time, keep it funky.